What if thriving wasn't about getting life perfect?
but learning to find peace and purpose right in the mess.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Tom, and we walked away from the version of life that looked right to build one that feels alive.
We'll talk about the beauty and the struggle, from parenting and marriage to faith, well-being and travel.
This is The Whole of Us.
I already know I'm going to love talking about this subject.
It's a pretty fun one. It's to be honest, the most fun.
I'm just like blown away by the research and just, I feel like could be pretty life-changing.
I think we're going to have to come back to this conversation a few times as we learn and grow in this space. And it brings so much life to who we are.
Yeah. So today we're talking about play, and not play for kids, play for adults.
And not that kind of play either.
I mean,
that is kind of fun, but yeah. No, genuinely, play is profound. I think it's blown me away how it sums up so much of what we've been kind of talking about and moving through over the last few years. And this beautiful idea of learning to be and be present, and play epitomizes that.
Well, and also I think we think about play as something just kids do, and then we grow out of, almost like play as a sign of immaturity.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Instead, like what we're finding is that play is part of surviving.
Well, it's integral to human functioning.
I'm just like, what? And like, I must admit, as soon as we started deep diving this particular subject, it was very freeing to me.
Yeah.
I have struggled playing with the kids. I've never been a mum that found it easy to go and like get on the floor and play like little mouse games or imaginative games. And in fact, I feel like that has felt almost damaging to me. Like somehow I have to disconnect out of my body to force myself to sit on the ground and to play with the kids. And this has just shown me there are so many, like, just broaden my definition of what play actually means.
Yes.
And it's hopeful.
Totally. It's trying to remove the shame that we feel around play. And I mean, that's a really well-researched and defined term of play shame.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
It's sad.
This is another subject that the Western world has gotten so wrong.
Yeah.
Like we have forced out play in pursuit of optimization and in outcome-based driven life. And in the pursuit of that, we've actually made our lives so much less fun.
Yeah.
And no wonder we're more depressed and anxious and medicated and all the things. Totally. We don't know how to be in our bodies and have fun.
Totally.
And it's not even this like silly laugh. It is just being present, not in a heaviness. I think sometimes we can think about presence and this sort of connecting to your body, and it actually feels like work. Like somehow it's almost this Zen state. No, play could be wildly exciting. I think it's purposeful. Suddenly life looks more enjoyable.
Yeah. All right. So let's define what play is, because this has really helped define for us where we're getting it really well and where we're missing the mark massively as well. So the first thing with play is that it's inherently purposeless.
Which is immediately to me like, what's the point? Yeah. And that is the problem.
And that's it.
That's what we've created.
Exactly.
Which is so devastating. Like that, unless there is an outcome, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we've seen this across different cultures where families still just enjoy long meals together. They get together on the weekend just to celebrate.
They sing, they dance.
Yeah, they dance.
Yeah.
This is huge. Everything is a celebration, and we've lost so much of that.
I think there's just a freedom in how they're living life. Like it is even in the storytelling and the way that they do community together and things like that, I guess. But also
well, there's a slowness to it. There's a
I don't know. I hear the slowness, but I think it's less of a physical slowness.
I guess a spaciousness then. Like there's room in their lives to actually just be and enjoy something.
Yeah, they're more present. They're not
exactly.
like, you know when you're talking to someone and you can see that they're thinking through all the jobs they've got to do, and there's like the furrow on their brow because they're stressing about something else.
Yeah.
Like there is an innate ability just to be present and be with someone, not thinking about other things, and that's
100%.
beautiful.
And
But also you were talking about it, you can see it in the way that they raise their children and how
man.
as a society they tolerate children because they're way more easily able to step into play
Yes.
than us who are too good to play, who are,
who will stand
serious.
and manage the play or supervise the play, but not actually engage in the play in a meaningful way.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. And like I even think this from a Christian culture perspective, and how so much of our faith starts to become around what's the purpose and how are we performing and how are we doing all these different things. And like there's a beauty to that and a meaningfulness to that. And it misses it as well because it's getting back to what is actually a real dynamic with a loving God look like. And it looks like a father-daughter, father-son relationship that is just, let's have fun together.
So the definition of play is it's sort of purposeless. There's no outcome. There's no alternative. What do you call it?
Ulterior motives.
Ulterior motive. You are present.
Yeah, so I guess a couple of things to add to that definition then. So if it's inherently purposeless, it's voluntary.
Yes.
And this is a huge one because I think...
Which is why I've struggled to play, because I feel like I have to play with the kids.
Yes, because that's what a good parent does.
Yeah, where I'm not actually playing with them. I'm just thinking about the long list of things I need and would rather be doing or timing it. Like I remember times I'm like, I'll play for 5 minutes to tick that off because I was reading these books that, all you need is like a couple of minutes with your kids and then you can go to the next thing. And I think that's true, like to constantly reconnecting with your kids. But I wasn't actually benefiting from that. And I guarantee they probably weren't benefiting from it either because they can feel me rushing them.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a managing play.
Yes.
Don't do this, clean this. Like, it's just, how sad.
It is. So, okay, so we've got purposeless, voluntary. It's inherently attractive. So there's something about it that's drawing us to it. And I think this is a really beautiful thing that we've lost so much as adults is that we lose sight of things that actually we want to do.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I found this massively. Like my life was so goal-oriented and outcome-driven and doing all the right things and then going, what do I actually want to do?
And then having no idea.
And literally having no idea because I haven't done it for so long. And it's been really interesting trying to discover what things do I actually want to do again.
Yeah.
And we'll go into that a bit more later.
Last?
And the last piece of this definition is that it actually diminishes our self-consciousness. And this is really beautiful because you see this in kids that as they step into play, they're not worried about the social interactions or the thing that might happen. They're not worried about how they're looking or how they're coming off. They're actually just in it.
Are they being productive with their time? Like, what will I have to show for the end of this?
Totally. They're actually just in it. So when we look at these things, in this definition, like there is so much beauty there that we're struggling to hold on to. And as soon as we try and take this concept of play and then go, right, I'm going to make something of it, we defeat the point.
Which is typical for what we want to do.
Yeah. We want an outcome
really
from it.
Like we need to do more of this. So how are we going to make ourselves
do more of it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the fascinating things that we started leaning into with this research is the idea that play is not an optional thing for us as humans. Play is actually something that is wired into our subconscious, into our subcortical brain. So our subcortical brain is the part of us it's like the deeper, older part of us that we share with all mammalian species.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this guy called Panksepp who came up and actually showed neurologically that there are these 7 circuits that underpin who and how we function.
Yeah.
And these 7 circuits are things like grief or fear, seeking, so trying to find food or find connection and those sorts of things, lust, and then play was one of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at it like that and go, oh, play is actually something that is inherently neurologically, physiologically part of who we are. And then we go, oh no, but I can outthink that. Yeah. I can outdo that.
Or override that.
I'll override that. And look, there is a certain necessity to being able to override these circuits that sit underneath things. Like if we're feeling fear when we step into some scenarios, we actually need to like calm it to be able to step in with confidence. So say we're stepping into a hospital room with our child and we need to show up with confidence rather than fear so that our child can feel calm. If we're expressing grief and I mean, grief is actually a really fascinating one that in a moment, maybe we need to calm it and be able to move through the just practicalities
And
of,
come back to it. All of these
and then
are
come back to,
tos,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
The issue comes when we suppress it and keep it suppressed.
Mm.
And it's fascinating. Like we do this on so many levels, and then we start to feel the outcomes of it. So if we suppress that grief, we start to feel depressed.
Yeah.
Long term. If we suppress
Or
fear,
angry.
yeah. If we suppress, and if we suppress fear, we become anxious long term.
Mm.
And so with play, we suppress it consistently, and then what are the actual outcomes of that?
Yeah, there would be naturally consequences to it. We were talking about this in our children, in how we suppress a lot of these things and why we stop playing. So we were considering grief, for example, and how a child, when they are sad or hurt themselves, it's a full body experience. They are sobbing and screaming. And what do we as parents do? We go over and try and shut that down as
We try
quickly
and
as
control
possible.
it.
And we try and control it.
Yeah.
Of course, there are situations where that's appropriate. Not
Absolutely.
to control it, but to just,
Just
there's a
calm.
totally.
And, yeah.
But like you're saying, there is a consequence to all of this. And man, the more we go into this, I'm like, it is way more far reaching than I think we can grasp. It's devastating.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
So this was really interesting. The research is showing that if you were born between
1987 and 1997.
play decreased by 25%. So in a generation, it decreased by 25%.
And I would say it's continued that way.
Yes. And what they were finding was that was when, well, why did it decrease?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Probably multiple factors. Obviously schooling.
Yep.
And maybe safety, like neighborhood running around. Although I played a lot in my neighborhood. So I can't imagine what these statistics would be now.
Oh, it's shocking. And I mean, there's another guy who's come up with this 1,000 hours outside concept. And it's effectively, for optimal development, children need to spend 1,000 hours outside every year.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
How many hours a day is it?
It's about 3 hours a day. Which you think about most children who wake up, get ready, go to school, sit in school, come home, like they might have done something like after school, have dinner, go to bed.
We prioritize everything else before play.
So across a lifespan, from about the age of 6, we see a marked decrease in the amount of play. And then as we hit teen years, that is an even sharper drop to the point where as adults, we're often hard pressed to find any moments in our day where we're actually engaging in play.
Yeah, I've been really humbled by this because I don't know that there is. I think the research was saying like maybe 20 minutes, or was it 2 hours?
It was 20 minutes, but I would wonder whether it's even that. Because again, we think back to that, like we often as adults, we engage in what we think of as play, but it's productivity oriented play.
Yes.
So it's, I'm doing a workout and that's really fun.
But we're trying to lose weight.
We're trying to lose weight. We're trying to get stronger. Muscle. Yeah. Well, I'm doing this artwork, but I want to turn it into a side hustle. So I've got to get better at this artwork. So that kind
I
of
was
thing.
thinking about this even from a social media perspective, because I was really challenged the beginning of this year to just live my life, and the overflow would be what shows up on social media. That has felt like a really challenging thing to keep in that lane, because in the back of my mind, I'll be doing something thinking, oh, but maybe I could shoot this and turn it into social media. So we have on weekends, we don't touch social media. We don't touch technology and things like that. And it's so necessary because we have to learn just to be present and play for no other reason than just doing it.
Absolutely. And it's that interesting thing as well. Like the better we are at something, the harder it becomes to play. So when we're not good at something, we kind of just have to go, yeah, okay, I'm just going to do this. And so it's, picking up a pencil and drawing something even though you can't draw, but doing it just because you want to do it. Can you remember when you stopped playing?
Well, I'm trying to think of ulterior motive, because I would say I was still playing as a teenager, but was that to be liked and to be like, you'd go and do things. And yes, I'd played sport and things like that, but my mind started to get really, really busy, wanting to be noticed, wanting to be seen, liking that boy over there. And so, even exercise at that point comes about getting skinnier, right? Like it wasn't about just going to the beach and enjoying life. Can you?
Yeah, it's a really curious one. It's funny. It's so easy to look back and kind of logic through, oh, well, I wasn't playing then because of these trauma responses or this sort of thing going on. And I think part of that is, again, our prefrontal cortex, which logics and thinks through everything, trying to put a lens on what was. When I think, sure, there was aspects to how I was showing up that was stopping me from being able to lean in fully, but definitely there was play that I did do.
Yeah, I think it's actually worth saying that we do know how to play. We did know how to play, and we can learn this.
Yeah.
I think, yes, we're overthinkers and we like to analyze, and the more we've become trauma informed and learn to grow, and you like you're saying, you can create meaning out of something when actually it could just be simple. Like, no, we know how to play.
Yeah, and we actually had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think of you doing jet ski days.
I was thinking
with your
jet ski
parents,
days. Yeah, those were really great fun
really
days.
fun day. And there was no purpose to that except
laugh
going and
have
having fun and laughing. Yeah. I'm even thinking about, like, we've always enjoyed hiking and just getting out and exploring things.
That's true.
And that's a beautiful play-based thing that we do, which it's easy to look at that and go, oh, that's not play. But yeah, of course it is.
And we'll go into this more in a little bit. So I want to know, I feel like the thing we're missing here, it's like, why is it actually so important? Like, tell me, what do we have to lose when we don't play? Or why do we need play so much? We've alluded to it, but let's get into it.
Yeah, okay. So, well, let's look at what life looks like without play. It's sad. We lose our ability to be flexible. So we start to lose our creativity. We become really rigid. We get snappy. Our joy is leaving us.
Essentially, like our window of tolerance gets smaller, it sounds like.
And our ability to hold nuance in things becomes less. Our relationships become more rigid because they're more outcome oriented.
Ooh, this was good research from the Gottman Institute talking about in marriages, the biggest indicator of
success
or longevity in marriage was play.
Yeah.
It was not communication, and it wasn't like ability
conflict management.
To manage conflict. It was about play.
Yeah, which is insane. Like the ability to have fun together. And I think the specific research there was looking at the number of interactions, like positive interactions to negative interactions. And for healthy relationships, it was 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative one, which is a big ratio.
Yeah.
And when you're operating from an outcome-driven, like co-managing life together, excellent housemates vibe.
Is that not what most people are doing though? Like, you don't have time to play and be silly.
There's too many things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
When in reality, when we actually play, it frees up time. It frees up space.
Yes.
So if we look at what play actually brings then, it's amazing. So play taps into something called your default mode network, which is this really fascinating thing and circuit within our brain that previously researchers were looking at and going, what's the point of this thing? Like, it seems like not much is happening there, and it gets activated when we're not doing much. But what the default mode network...
Wonder if this research was about the time everyone stopped playing as much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting. So what your default mode network is actually for is for processing, for creative thinking, for lateral, like, ability to look at 2 different things and go, oh, they could actually be connected this way. It's where lots of the deeper work happens, and play is one of the few things that actually taps into it. And what it does as well is play taps into that default mode network whilst still drawing on your cognitive prefrontal cortex ability to actually think through things.
So one of the very few things that actually combines the two.
Yeah. And so without play, we get stuck in this logic drive, this like, I can think through all things and cognitively think through it. And it breaks us because we get stuck with this black and white options rather than being able to hold the nuance and the beauty and the creativity in something.
Or the critical thinking, I'm imagining, like to think outside the box and to find the secret option Cs.
Well, so it's the idea of associative thinking. So that thinking which brings 2 disparate ideas together and goes, I can connect
There's
them.
The link.
And play loosens that ability. So it actually frees you to do it more.
So in essence, playing actually is a quicker and easier way to get to the thing that you might be striving to achieve.
Yeah.
Like if you can play, and I guess because I was looking at some research around well, should we not play before anything else? And it was actually pretty clear that playing before any more intense critical thinking or like focused work would increase your ability to achieve those things.
Yeah. It turns on all the circuits that work for problem solving, for critical thinking, for creative analysis.
So here we are, like having a coffee and trying to like force a 12-step morning routine instead of just going and having some fun, playing for the sake of it, and then boom.
Happy days. We can actually
sure it's
engage.
not happy days, but yes, like
we can engage to a way better potential. And there's some, again, companies around the world that are doing this and actually allowing their employees to step into a creative space and a play space first before they step into more focused, outcome-driven work.
Actually, I do know a company that within the company they had a lot of play spaces.
Yeah.
So places you could go play pool or go sit in a ball pit or like just have some fun.
Yeah. And what was fascinating is their productivity didn't drop by giving more creative space. It increased exponentially.
Because you were thinking, oh my goodness, that's like all this distraction from the actual work. When in effect, it was creating
letting the brain do the work. And I mean, we're seeing this in education as well. Like, education is so outcome driven. It is so like focused on getting a particular result in a particular set point of time. And that's not how we learn. That's not how kids actually work. And so when we start releasing the outcomes and go, okay, let's do play first. And from a place of play, then the learning naturally comes. Naturally, we want to step into that space.
We know when stress increases, your ability for your prefrontal cortex to work anyway decreases.
Yeah.
So you actually have to be in a more regulatory state to be able to think well anyway.
Totally.
And play helps do that.
So let's talk through that then, because this is amazing. And I think this hits on so much of what we've talked about previously around regulation and around working through how to speak safety to our body.
Well, because the question I had when we walked into this was, part of why I struggle to play is because I'm too activated.
Yeah, so you're in threat mode.
Yeah.
And we do so much regulation work around like creating safety for our bodies and minds, doing physical practices to bring safety
like
and
breathing
regulation,
and like
cold
visualization
plunging and saunas and exercise and eating good food and all these beautiful things that are really helpful. But what it's doing is it's calming a threat response and creating a certain amount of safety, but it's not actually changing modes. And so this is where we get back to those like core physical state or core neurological networks. And play is one of the few things that will actually take us from that fear threat mode into a state of safety. And if we look at polyvagal theory as well then, and which is understanding how so much of our body's innate responses come from what our vagus nerve is doing. When we're in threat mode, that vagus nerve is activated in threat. And we're trying to work out how do we get it back to calm ventrovagal state, which is our rest and relax and relational circuits are on. Play is the thing that does that.
But how do you step into play if you're too dysregulated?
Yeah.
So is there a reality that you need to
create a certain amount of safety first?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like, so it's enough, but not too much. Because I think we can get hooked on this and start going, well, I need a perfect environment to be able to play. I need to have everything structured absolutely right. But actually, then you're still just operating from anxiety then.
Yes.
And
it won't be play anyway because it's outcome based.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think this is fascinating at looking at like, how do we approach trauma therapy? Do we approach it from a top-down cognitive approach of going, okay, I need to think through things better. I need to understand things better. And then I can
change my thinking
enough to be healthy and well. Or do we look at it from a bottom-up approach, which is like the body keeps a score ideas or somatic experiencing ideas where we go, okay, how do we show our body that it's actually in a state of safety?
And move through energy that we actually need to be able to.
And so much of that research is based around dance, around movement, around creative expressions and artwork and physically moving. And as we physically do something, we're signaling to our body, hey, you're okay.
Yes.
You're really okay.
Yes.
I'm just thinking through this like with our own girls as well. And when one of them's dysregulated and like totally out of whack, like they're screaming or crying or just shut down and they're frozen in bed, like locked up, what I've found really helps is taking time to sit with them, to be with them in that moment, and to be from that state of fear or state of anger or state of pain or grief or whatever it is that's there, not talking too much because they're not able to actually logic through something, but gently and gradually then moving closer and then holding them. And then from a space of holding them and being with them physically, we can move into a state of starting to just play a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's often like a little tickle or a little squeeze, or just getting them to even say, hey, I need you to just squeeze me really tight right now. Like, can you help move some of this emotion that you're feeling? Can you squeeze it into me?
Yeah.
Can you push it into me? And that invariably starts to bring a few giggles, and then those giggles turn into more giggles, and then we can start tickling or wrestling or having more fun. And as we move into a state of play, it's helping to signal to their body, hey, we're actually safe. We're going to be okay.
Yes.
And once we've moved through that and we've kind of calmed down and taken a big, deep breath and these somatic sighs of kind of going, and releasing all that energy, then we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then we can actually talk through, hey, what actually happened?
Yeah.
And look, sometimes it goes in another loop there and we have to go through this cycle again, but it's great
Choose
fun.
your time wisely.
Choose the time wisely.
Yeah.
But like, I would say this has even been the case with you.
Yeah.
Like times where I try and step into conversation with you and we're not there yet. And then there's a moment where we might be able to laugh about something or just bring the energy down that little bit, and our relational circuits will come back on and we're able to actually come back and have a conversation.
Yes. So there's a great book that we have not read, but I want to read, by Stuart Brown. He's a psychiatrist, and he identified 8 different play states.
I just want to draw you back there because the reason he started researching play is he was researching murderers, which is wild. But what he discovered, the common thread throughout each of these kids' or each of these people's lives, is that they had no play as a child,
They were
or severely lacking in play.
Yeah, deprived of play.
Yeah,
which is mind blowing.
Mind blowing. So basically, let your kids play, or they're going to become
murderer.
But the reality is, like, it leaves us in such a broken state when we can't play. We're locked up, and we lose the freedom and flexibility and creativity to be in life.
Yes.
Which makes sense. You'd end up in such a broken place of causing pain.
Also, I think in the world that we're in, like the emotional health space, and it can be very intense, and you're doing all this trauma work and understanding your story and your childhood wounds, and amazing. But if you can't leverage some goodness, like the safety cues, which would include play, you end up worse off.
Totally.
I think you because you're locked up, you're like, what is the point?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is where I'm so grateful for the way that we've been able to do a lot of this work. We traveled for most of the time that we were going through this hyper intense trauma therapy.
And as we've both discovered, our play types are exploring.
Yeah.
Well done, us.
I know. So literally, we would sit in a super intense like trauma counseling session, and then we'd be like, let's go and explore the pyramids. Well, let's go and explore this rainforest, or what's out here.
Also, it actually made sense of particular environments. I mean, obviously for overwhelm and stimulation stuff, but that went for our play. Like, we like nature, we like to be outside, which I mean has benefits for every single person. But for us who love to explore and we love a movement-based play, that was really important for us.
Amazing.
And it's interesting how we like naturally move towards those types of destinations.
Yeah.
It was integral to our trauma healing.
Exactly. And it's because it was not just sinking us into the pain of the trauma, it was providing that opposite. And again, this is that like circuitry difference, is it's not just calming the stress response, it's actually showing your body, hey, there's safety, there's joy, there's beauty, there's wonder.
It's actually exciting.
It is. It's really exciting. Man, it's fun.
So what are the 8 different types?
So there's 8 different types of play that Stuart Brown identified after doing research with thousands of people. So there were Joker, so the person who actually relationally engages and just makes fun.
I should mention that, as with all these things, you can be multiple.
Yeah, and we have kind of like a core play type, and then we flex into other things as well. So the Joker is like engaging with people in a hilarious way. And
Yep.
I can think of a number of people in my life who play that role, and it's beautiful.
So
And
fun.
it creates so much joy. Okay, so the other one, another one is kinesthetic, so movement based.
Yeah, which
So-
would be us as well.
Yeah, us as well. Like moving our bodies is what helps bring us into a place of joy and wonder.
I would also think like that's so important with kids. I'm thinking of meltdowns in the afternoons and we would put music on and just start dancing.
Yes.
Huge.
Huge,
Yep.
huge. So another one, explorer, and this is what we both very much are. And exploring can be like physically going out into the world and exploring, but it can also be exploring ideas and having conversations around like this. I think this is part of why we
This is
love
actually part of a play, I
podcasting
guess.
is because
It is outcome based in the fact that we're trying to do one a week, but there's no.
but well, see, this is different. I think what we're doing there is not necessarily trying to create an outcome. We've given ourselves some structure and some guidelines
Yes.
to then play within.
Yes.
It's the idea of freedom within boundaries. Because if we have complete freedom, it's actually just chaos.
Yes.
We're lost in this world. And it's the same with raising kids. Kids need enough structure around them to provide safety, and then freedom within that to be able to explore and do and be.
Yes, we're getting sidetracked. Yeah.
All right, so we've got Joker, Kinesthetic, Explorer, Competitor. And I see this come out of you when we play board games. It is wild. And one of like my sister-in-law or your sister-in-law's, it also expresses this, and it is the best when you're playing games together because the competition gets heated and intense.
Shout out to Charlie if she's listening.
Man, she's a good girl.
You know who you are.
So competitor. Then there's the director as well, and director loves organising things.
I am a bit of a director, to be honest.
I mean, I see this in our oldest Isla.
Oh my
who,
gosh.
Man, she loves organising the
She
games.
loves a clipboard.
Oh yeah, give that girl like a
I
clipboard
also love
and
a clipboard and
checklist.
have to surrender it to her. Yeah.
There's the collector.
Yeah.
And so, like, I saw this in like when I used to collect Pokemon cards, and it was very cute. Like, it's literally collecting a thing. And we've got friends who, as adults, collect action figures or all sorts of things. And there's a joy in these. Like, you see it in musicians who collect guitars.
Yes.
And it's like, I love these things. There's the creator, and I see this massively in you, and to be honest, in me as well, in terms of how we make and do life. And so photography for you, and I love creating things out of wood and building things. And there's
writing and storytelling.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
well, the last one then is storyteller. And so it's this like narrative arc to life. And that can be both like fantasy of coming up with what life could be or like magical worlds or that sort of thing. But it can just be storytelling the life that we've got in front of us.
There is a quiz you can do online. Just helped, I guess, provoke more thought about what you might be. So there's obviously all these different play types.
Yeah.
One of the best questions to understanding what your play type is or what brings you alive into play is, what did you like to do between the ages of, 8 and 12?
Yeah. What did you get lost in?
Yeah.
What
time disappeared and you
Yeah.
were just present and delighting in whatever you were doing.
Yeah. So what was that for you?
Oh, I always loved imaginative play, but I also liked I liked photography even at that age. We used to all dress up in different outfits and get pretend makeup and take photos. And
Man, you were made to be a content creator.
I know. I was 30-something when I figured this out. But I would also say outside. I remember I used to get a backpack full of, packet full of food and just go hiking around the beach and exploring. So the outdoors is always just so much delight. Anything that's movement based in the sunshine outside, I'm happy. Which is also connects in with the content or like the, creative capturing it. It's a little bit like a treasure hunt looking for beauty. And I like to think of that as well with content stuff, is what a gift my job is to look for the beauty.
Yeah.
And to capture it and to tell a story about it.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool.
It's stunning.
What about for you?
Look, I think creating was a big part of
building
things. Yeah, I used to make all sorts of things out of balsa wood and Lego, and I often building something whether in the garden or inside somewhere, and then exploring as well. Like, I loved going off into the woods and just wandering, finding things. I always loved learning about different plants and animals and different things and filling my head with different knowledge. And, I think it's that idea of just exploring ideas even is...
As you're talking, I'm reminded when we were in France, we stayed on this, I don't know, property in the middle of nowhere, and you just went foraging for food, and next minute I'm drinking dandelion tea and all these other weird herbs you've picked up. And I you were alive. Like there was a
Yeah.
lightness and a joy. It was also probably one of the hardest times of our life that day.
It's
We were
wild,
in
the
a really
contrasts, isn't it?
bad headspace. But yeah, I remember looking at you being like, oh, you are loving this. I do not want to drink this. But it was also really cool
It was
living
so
off the
like, I
land.
mean, we were building fairy houses with the
Yeah,
girls, and
you
like I
were.
made a skipping
skipping
rope
rope.
for them, like carved wooden handles, and
And
then
then-
braided rope
Mm.
from fibers to make a skipping rope for them, and
It was very wholesome. It was wonderful.
so wholesome.
Okay,
Oh
what's-
man, it's beautiful. So if we find like our own play types, it then helps to intersect with our kids.
Yes.
And learning, like, so often as adults, it feels difficult to jump into the play that our kids are doing.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't necessarily congruently match with our play type or just how we're even able to express ourselves in a moment. And so it's not shaming ourselves for that, but recognizing that's okay. Like it makes sense. And then where do we find an intersection with them that we can start to play together more?
Yeah, I've often wondered this too, because it's obviously you don't want to make it all about you in the sense of we're never going to do what you want to do because that's not my play type. Like, I don't think that's the heart behind this, but there is a reality, especially maybe as we're starting out in returning to play, that going and doing imaginative play with little dolls on the ground will just
lock you up.
Yeah, like take the life from you. And I certainly think, as soon as I think of play, that feels very overwhelming. The more I've learned about myself, and I think part of that then is identifying what creates safety. So I could probably do a bit of imaginative play outside.
Yeah.
If I was in a room that's echoey and then I'm looking around and seeing all the mess everywhere, that's probably going to be harder. But it's also, I think the more you play, the more you're able to play.
Yes, 100%.
So for me, and the girls enjoy this, it has its moments, obviously, but we like to hike as a family.
Yeah.
So going outside and returning to play engages me in a way that opens me up to other types of play.
Yes.
And that's where it's probably going to start.
Yeah, totally.
I feel so challenged by this conversation because as we were like digging through the research, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we do not play. We do not know how to play. And honestly, there's a resisting to it because it has felt like pressure to be more fun. And I know we've been in seasons that it's felt very heavy and trauma focused and just survival seasons. And it is pretty clear that in those seasons, it is difficult to play because your
threat awareness is so high.
It's so high. So there's a lot of compassion for that. But I think it doesn't have to be, we're going to play all day. No. Maybe it's not checking your phone in the morning and it's going outside and having a cup of tea and sketching something.
Yeah.
Just because that seems like a fun thing to do first thing in the morning, or reading a book.
Yeah. Or going for a short walk.
Yeah.
Without your phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge one. Like, morning routines have gotten so co-opted by the optimization culture and performance culture. It's like the most productive morning routine. It's like, no, stuff that. Actually,
well, even the 12-step skincare, like, you know, and I have a red light therapy and I do things that I actually genuinely enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
But it has become very outcome based.
Yes.
How exhausting. The first thing you do when you wake up is like an hour of all the things you need to do before you can leave the house.
And again, it's not necessarily just getting up and then instantly trying to step into play, but it's going, okay, get up, maybe making my bed and making a cup of tea and having something to eat, like doing enough to create some form of structure, but then moving to something creative before you pick up all of the day's necessities or productivity things to do. But I just want to take a step back to like playing with kids there, because as you're talking, I think there's probably more things that you do from a play with the kids perspective that actually haven't necessarily or wouldn't necessarily have called them play. I was thinking we were playing a board game last night and you come alive way more in some board games that we play, and it's really fun to watch.
Mostly if I'm winning.
Yeah. Yes, the competitive side of you does come out. But that same competitiveness and playfulness comes out in netball that you've been coaching the girls now, and the fun of just playing. And actually and it's helped that you're playing yourself as well. So the coaching actually can feel more free. But then I was thinking that like that kinesthetic side of play, like the movement and doing something. And that's where like dance parties with the girls are huge and we do them regularly. And even just the silliness sometimes of, again, it's coming from a state of safety, but the way that you'll engage with the girls is so silly and fun and physical, and wrestling with them on the beds or doing something that's out of the box there.
Yes.
And then the creative side of it as well, like actually making crafty things with them. Like
Yeah.
there's way more ways that are play that we wouldn't necessarily look at as play because it's not how the kids would be doing it in this silliness and this raucous fun and that kind of thing. But actually it is. And so letting ourselves off the hook there to a big degree and going, actually, no, the play that we're doing now can look different. It can look simpler and calmer to some degree, but in other senses, it's just a freedom to be.
So perhaps the takeaways of this episode is looking at how important play is, having a lot of grace and compassion for why we don't play, especially if we've never been taught it, or, we've gone into school at 6 and then, it's sort of been shut down in us, that there is a permission to come alive again in this space and to try things and have the freedom to not love things as well. It's
Totally.
sort of falling back in love with this concept and taking your time with it.
100%. And understanding that we're going to be bad at it to start with. Like all new things that we start with, we're not going to be particularly good at it. But in play, that's actually a good thing.
And prioritizing it not from an outcome-based place, but just creating space in our life to do this.
Yeah.
Because it is a survival technique.
100%.
It is absolutely integral, I think, to a successful life. Like the optimization that we're actually chasing comes from this place of surrender and just being present and being in it.
Yeah.
I think the conversation feels so hopeful. Like, what a wonderful life that is full of whimsy and joy and play. And I've seen it across socials lately, these creators who are having these whimsy lives and whimsy ideas. And I've sort of looked at them like, oh, that looks nice. You're attracted to it because it just looks free and fun.
Yeah.
But now as I'm like understanding the research behind it, I'm like, oh, they're really onto something.
Yeah.
Like, this is maybe the point. From this place of play is an overflow of beauty that affects every part of our lives.
Yeah.
It's that important.
If at the end of the day we're still outcome focused, play gets us there quicker.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. So your homework from this episode is to identify what your play type could possibly be.
Yeah. So sit with that question. Like, what did you used to do that brought you alive? Or not even brought you alive, that you just lost time doing.
Yeah.
That it vanished and you just went, oh, that was interesting.
And comment and let us know. I would love.
Yeah.
I'm so interested.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It is. And then if you've got kids, put your phone away for 10 minutes and just look at, okay, what's something that I could actively do that's going to play with them? And again, that can be so many different things. It doesn't have to look like wrestling on the ground or being super silly or fun with them. It's like, okay, I've put my phone away and I'm going to play a game of cards for 10 minutes.
Or I will, I heard just thinking 10 minutes can often, I'm not disengaged enough in 10 minutes. Like I'm still going really fast. So something we've really started to do is to brick my phone on the weekends.
Yeah.
So it's uninterrupted time. And it is hard actually because I'm wired to like constantly go in this loop, and we've needed this as a family. Your kids notice. So I think that's another tool in your back pocket if you're really struggling to engage, because, social media and just being on all the time is so destructive. We all know that. But that's been a great tool for us.
Yeah.
And just like have a movie night, do a games night.
Yeah. And then when the movie finishes, put a song on and dance.
Yeah.
It's fun. Thanks for this chat.
Yeah. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.